Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 360, written by Wretched and Divine. 2 laundry lines appeared from nowhere. I do the laundry every week. I take care of every step, collecting the clothes, loading the washer, starting the washer, unloading it, and hanging the clothes up to dry. I've been living in the same apartment for over a year now, and have been consistently the only one doing laundry for as long as I've been here. I hang the clothes on a line out in the balcony, where I meticulously make sure that no pieces are overlapping, and each piece has the amount of pins needed to hold it in place. I've always complained about how small the space is for hanging the clothes, since we only had 3 lines to hang our clothes on, and a week's worth of laundry every time. Well, it's like whoever controls the simulation heard that, as just last week I found 2 extra lines. I stood there for a second, wondering if I was in a dream or if I was sick or something. The lines were even colored as opposed to the other 3, which are completely white. They even seemed newer and were tighter. I'm still completely baffled as to how they got there. I asked the person who lives with me if they had anything to do with it, and they told me those lines had always been there. I have never been on any kind of medications or anything that would make me hallucinate without them not being there. And I've never had hallucinations of any type except the occasional sleep paralysis. I'm 100% certain they were not there before. Edit. To those wondering if maybe my roommate was responsible for adding the extra lines, I'm sure they were not, for multiple reasons. 1, they wouldn't lie about not installing them. 2, it's not possible for them to install them without some sort of extender, as a large part of the lines are in an unreachable place. We do not own any sort of extenders, or even ropes for that matter. 3, they aren't the type to do spontaneous nice things, or do things without being asked. 4, they are not pranksters either, and wouldn't do this to mess with me. Bonus file, written by Free Cicada 502. Stories continuing her supernatural madhouse. Some people have suggested demons. I read a story here about this guy whose friend's house was haunted by a demon who hated him, and the thing was attached to all the negativity, and I feel like that might be what's happening here, or at least in my house. The night I posted, while I was getting ready for bed, I heard a male voice yelling my name from my backyard while I was in the bathroom. I just ignored it. I didn't even bother to check if someone was really there. This was around 9 p.m. On October 2 at 11:30 p.m., I smelled my great-grandma's perfume in my bathroom 3 times while I was there. It wasn't 3 separate occasions. I never left the bathroom. I know what she smells like. I have 3 of her brooches that she left me after she died, and I can't wear them because they smell like her. She has a distinctive smell, and nothing in our house except for her things smell like it, much less our bathroom. We do have an air freshener in there that's on a timer, but the scent in it was rose and is wildly different from how Nanny smells. I left the bathroom crying because it felt so real, and it was like she was in the room with me. And the weird thing is that after she died, I kept thinking about what if she's haunting us. She died like 3 years ago, and I had no reason to think that, but I couldn't get it out of my head. On October 11th, I smelled it again, and I kind of yelled at her. I was saying how all the rooms in the house were haunted. Why would you pick the bathroom? And how we weren't very close, so why are you haunting me instead of my mom? And I apologized immediately after because I felt like I was a bit rude. I haven't smelled it since, so I'm hoping that's over. On October 14th at 7 a.m., I was playing in the kitchen with my cat Ivy while sitting on the floor in front of the dining room table. We have an umbrella open in the front of the litter box to prevent our dogs from going in there, and the umbrella moved. I don't know what made it move, but it wasn't my cat's. On October 15 at 6:40 a.m., I was leaning up against a counter in the kitchen so that Katniss would rub against my back. She had turned around and was walking towards me, and she jerked her head around like someone grabbed her tail and jumped down and ran under the dining room table. I've been having a hard time sleeping ever since my mom heard the voice. I keep randomly waking up and falling asleep. This has happened several days in a row. I'm a heavy sleeper. I've slept through a hurricane, and the only thing that woke me up was the power going out because of how hot my room got. I have no idea what's causing me to wake up. I'm not under any stress, and I'm usually exhausted by the time I get into bed. Any ideas? For everyone suggesting carbon monoxide poisoning, the only thing I can think of that could be leaking is our oven. It's older than me and shares a wall with my bed. But if it is leaking, my mom should be more affected. She's the one that cooks and spends the longest time in the kitchen. She's not having trouble with her memory. Our cats also love the kitchen and like to lay in the window across from the stove. They haven't been acting strange. As for suggestions to set up a camera, we have a small camera that my dad bought a while ago, but we don't have a computer to actually check the footage. I was going to try to record myself sleeping with my phone on an app, but it picks up the AC in my room. Sorry, but I live in the South. I'm not sleeping without it until it gets colder. My dad is quite abusive to me physically. He was abused when he was a kid. He has complete control over the finances, so I'm unable to get a job, and so is my mom. We're trying to figure out a way to get away from him, but I don't know if we ever will. For context, my house is a one-story brick house that's on a huge hill. Our driveway isn't level, and the emergency brake has to be on all the time in my mom's car. The back of the house, aka my room, the bathroom, the office, and part of my parents' room, is around 3 stories high. My parents' room is at the corner of the house, so one window is very low to the front yard, while the other one is really high. This is why I said it's really hard to break into my house. Not only that, but because my mom doesn't work, she's home 24/7. We also have a streetlight on the corner of our yard near the room. I feel very safe from outside threats. One night, me and my sister were watching a VHS movie in my parents' room. They have a giant box TV in there, so we often watched movies. I was sitting on my mom's side of the bed, near the tall window, while Tori was sitting on the other side near the low window. I want to emphasize how freaking tall that window is. I heard a metal-on-metal noise that's one of the sounds I can't stand, so I turned to look for the source and I noticed that the screen in the tall window has been cut. A perfect horizontal cut was now in it. I screamed and we ran out of there. My parents went to check outside and found nothing. No footprints in the dirt, no ladders had been moved, no weird cars on the street. Absolutely nothing. I found out recently that they never replaced the screen because Katniss had been sitting on the windowsill and I went to pet her and noticed it. I flipped out on my mom and she said it was pointless to fix. Weird little noises always happen in the bathroom. We used to have this muted, pink-colored plastic trash can in there before we remodeled. It didn't matter what time you took a shower. Around 5 minutes in, you would hear something tap on it. It was a very hollow noise. I don't know how to describe it, but I knew it was a trash can. I tried to rationalize it, thinking that maybe the heat caused the plastic to warp, making the noise, but it even happened to my dad, who takes pretty cold showers. It happened to my friends too when they stayed the night. I always had to warn them about it. Anyways, this is the one experience that my sister can remember. She had been taking a shower and we all heard this loud-ass noise. My mom goes to check on her and Tori literally falls into the wall, like the wall was caved in. We just assumed she had slipped and moved on. But later that night, she told me something pushed her. The hole isn't there anymore. It had been for years, but it was fixed when we remodeled. There was a plastic bag literally duct taped to it to prevent the wires in the wall from getting wet. The wall she fell into was connected to the office wall. I don't know if the thing knew that and wanted to mess with the power, or maybe even electrocute Tori, but it was creepy. I would like you all to remember that it is not possible for my family to move. The last thing that often happened in the bathroom were the shadows. So the tub is right behind the door. So when you open the door, it's right up against the shower curtain, but there's like a small wall directly behind the door. So it goes a bit of wall, and then the rest is a curtain for the shower. And then you reach the other wall, if that makes sense. So when you're in the shower, you're facing with your back to the door, essentially. When someone walks into the bathroom while you're in the shower, you can see the shadow of the door opening, someone walking in, and then the door closing. But the problem is that sometimes when I'm taking a shower, I can see the shadow of the door opening and something walks in. I peek from behind the curtain, but the door is always shut and nothing is in there. I would say it's my imagination, but I've heard my mom call for me asking me why I'm in the bathroom, so I know it happens to other people. This is kind of connected to the bathroom. The bathroom doorway is parallel to the living room doorway. There's a hallway in between where my room, my parents' room, and the office are. There's a painting that my great-grandpa did that's in front of the doorway that's framed, so there's glass protecting it. Because there's a window right in front of the bathroom door in the bathroom, you can often see your reflection in the glass. Sometimes I see a figure that's taller than me in it. I know it's not me because my head only reaches a certain point in the painting, but the shadow reaches a bit higher. For anyone who might ask, no, the thing isn't Opa. He's been dead for a long time, longer than I've been alive. The only one in the house that knew him was my mom, and Opa loved her. from what I hear, he was a really sweet man who loved his family. His wife Nanny never remarried and never moved houses until she died a few years ago, and I smell her perfume sometimes. Okay, now for the woods. I'm not even going to try to explain where this takes place in the neighborhood, because this is already quite long. Me and my friend Destiny had been walking around selling those world's finest chocolate bars. First of all, this creepy woman wanted us to come into her house, so that was just weird on its own. We had been walking and noticed this marker on the ground. Like it was a piece of wood with this orange fluorescent plastic tied to it, so of course we had to check it out. It marked this little trail. We walked down it a bit and started hearing running water like a stream. This ties into another experience, so keep this in mind. We could also hear voices kind of singing, but we could tell they were working to cut trees. No cutting trees down, but you could tell they were cutting wood. At first I thought there may be a factory or something nearby because of all the noise, so when I got home, I googled the area and there's literally nothing in that area. No water, no factories, just houses. Years later, I actually fell down that trail while on my bike and sprained my thumb and got a minor concussion, so that's fun. We had been looking for that trail again, but somebody got rid of the marker. I guess it's plausible that workers were maybe clearing that area, but I don't know. So 3 more experiences. 2 happened with my friend Kaylee, both around the same time. We had been in a tent in our backyard. Something was messing with us and was poking at the roof of the tent. Her parents weren't doing it. We freaked out and went inside. Next one happened across the street from her house. Her house was in a little roundabout, if you will. There was a straight road, and on either side were loops of road where houses were located. Hers was on the wrong side of the road, so if you were driving to my house from her house, her loop would be on the right side. My house was also on the right side of the street, so the woods connected from behind her house around the back of the loop to the back of my house. Basically, I could jump my back fence and walk to her backyard if I wanted to. My dog Amber loves to jump the fence and always brings back bones. Nice, right? Can't remember why, but we decided to walk into the woods across from her house. We noticed this little boy who was maybe 5. He was white and had blonde hair. Nothing too memorable. He starts leading us through the woods, and for some dumbass reason, we decide to follow. We noticed several trees with red strings tied around them, like someone was trying to mark the way. We saw some creepy graffiti, but can't remember what it said. There was an abandoned car where the roof was smashed down. We eventually found this river, very shallow and slow moving. Suddenly we realized how thirsty we were, so we stopped at the stream and drank a little, but the boy got his feet stuck. We decided to walk the rest of the way to my house to get help. By the way, not once did the kid speak. He straight up never opened his mouth. When he got stuck, he just admitted defeat and just stared off into space. Me and Kaylee are walking and we end up at this drop down. The ground just kind of stopped and dropped down further, maybe 12 feet. There was a tree that was kind of like a bridge down, so we slowly started climbing it, but we heard yelling from behind us. Her dad, Jason, had found us and was yelling at us, wondering why we had been gone for so long. We hadn't spoken to each other this whole time. It was kind of like we were in a trance. We both told him about the kid and how we were trying to get help for him, and he said he didn't see anyone. We walked back to the house and it felt like it took maybe 5 minutes to leave the woods. We never saw the stream, the car, the graffiti, not even the strings. Turns out we had been gone for 5 hours. Last one was with Destiny again. Years before Kaylee moved here. Her house is past Kaylee's and is on a massive hill. You walk down the hill and there's 2 ways you can go. Either left to a dead-end roundabout where her house is, or right where you can turn left and eventually end up where the weird trail is. The woods near my house connect to her backyard as well. So growing up, me and Destiny were best friends. Might as well be sisters. We love playing outside, especially in the woods. This random tidbit happened just near the woods. There's this weird plant that looks like a feather duster, but has long, thin leaves. We love breaking off the fluffy bits and playing with them. So we were picking which ones we wanted, and I was pushed backwards by something. I reached out and grabbed the leaves to stop myself from falling on the road, and apparently those leaves are sharp as hell. I sliced up my hands. Several times we had been playing basketball in their driveway, and because it was a slight hill, if the ball rolled away, it could roll all the way into the woods across the street. We've had the ball thrown back to us with quite a bit of force from the woods, with no one there. At one point, we found this tree that we absolutely loved to climb behind her house. But there was one drawback. Sometimes in the distant mountains, you could see a little white house with smoke coming from the chimney. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, if you see it, there will be smoke. It would randomly appear and disappear, but the vibes it gave off were so unnerving. It felt like hundreds of eyes were on you and made you feel so anxious. Anytime we saw it, we just went straight back inside. Something I forgot to add in the original post is that sometimes in the attic, light turns on. Because of the house positioned to the sun, at night the bathroom and hallway gets really dark. Like, I've walked into the bathroom door several times because I didn't realize it was closed. The attic door is on the ceiling of our hallway, and I can see the light from it sometimes. We only go up there twice a year, and the light has a string you have to pull. That's about it, other than just crazy neighbors and small things. Again, I'm not really looking for tips, I just wanted to share this. I'll let you know if anything else happens, but for now, I'm just gonna basically ignore it all. I know it sounds like a lot, but this is all over the span of 19, almost 20 years. It's not really scary, just obnoxious at this point. Update. Right now it's 6:30 a.m. and I think I may have messed up by talking about this. My room feels so loud right now. I don't know how to describe it, but all around my room is just noise, just outside the walls. It sounds like maybe really distant talking. I thought maybe I was hearing things, but I keep hearing it. My heart is beating so fast right now, and I'm honestly panicking while writing this. I keep hearing scratching noises coming from my ceiling. The sun isn't up yet, but as soon as it is, I think I'll feel better. Okay, well, now it kinda sounds like music. From my hallway, my mom's asleep and never plays music. This is freaking me out, but I guess I'll let you all know if things change. I just tried to record it, but don't hear anything but my fan and AC, so maybe I'm just hearing things. I hope so. Case notes. Okay, so this is just a quick theory that I have. While reading this, it struck me that so many of these anomalies and maybe hauntings, they could be explained by manifestations from other parallel universes that somehow bleed over. So like lights turning on in your attic, maybe in another universe that's slightly bleeding over into yours, someone opened the lights. Or maybe sometimes when you're pushed, it's because in another parallel universe, someone is in that exact location and you're forced out of the way. This strikes me less as a haunting and more as anomalies manifesting. That one basketball that was thrown back from the woods? That's weird. Although that particular one could be explained by some random passerby just throwing it back. And maybe everything else is just extraversal anomalies.